Once again, for the 10th time, they're headed for downtown Las Vegas, Nevada. This time to determine the 1979 World Series of Poker champion.
That you can hope for is to die in sleep. You got
Some of the best amateur and professional poker players in the world are gathering to find out who knows best how to hold 'em and how to fold 'em. They arrive in many different ways, from many different places, from many different backgrounds, all with one thing in mind: to get that title, 1979 World Champion. And to greet them all, the legendary Benny Binion, whose golden rule is, those who have the gold make the rules. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 1979 World Series of Poker from Binion's Horseshoe in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm Frank Lieber, along with Jimmy the Greek, 54 of the top players in the world, $540,000 in prize money. And last year, as I recall, Greek, you picked a winner in Mr. Baldwin. The year before, Mr. Brunson. Who do you like this year?
It's getting tougher all the time, Frank. It's 54 players, and they're all practicing all year to come back and play, reading up on it. It's a tough one.
So you're going to hedge right off the bat, is what you're telling me?
No, I'm not hedging. I mean, people like Baldwin and Crandall, Addington, and Doyle have to be the favorites. There isn't any question about it. But when you have 54 players with only a $10,000 buy-in, I mean, anybody can get knocked out on one hand.
Does a non-professional have a chance?
I don't think there are many non-professionals in here. They're professional in their own hometown, but when they get here, they're not quite as professional because the great professionals are here.
Well, the pot at the end of the rainbow is $540,000. Freeze-out process here, so by the time it's over, one player will have all the chips. First prize worth a whopping $270,000, and the rest of the prize money divided among the top 5 finishers. Prior to Jack Binion's traditional welcome and introductions, the players wait with great anticipation, some rather nervously, others totally relaxed, and many dressed for the occasion.
I want to welcome everybody here this afternoon for the 10th Annual World Series of Poker. 54 entrants this year.
If you've got a preconceived idea of what a gambler should look like in your mind's eye, well, you can forget it. For they come in all sizes and shapes and ages from all parts of the country, and with educational backgrounds ranging from the most basic to some with advanced degrees. And they have one thing in common: they're the best at what they do, playing a Texas-originated game of poker for high stakes with their peers.
Indianapolis, Indiana. Next one's our 1973 champion, Pug Pearson.
Some of the more flamboyant personalities in the 1979 World Series of Poker.
C.K. Schwartz. From outer space.
We're ready now to begin play. There's a house dealer at each table, 54 players seated at 6 tables, their seats drawn at random. Some pretty tough competition, each with a buy-in of $10,000 in chips, made up of the red chips worth $5, the greens $25, the blacks $100, and the grays $500. When a player loses his $10,000, he can't buy any more, and he is out. Each player antes $10. This amount will increase every 2 hours, and there's a blind bet, initially $50 in front of Gabe Kaplan, which is a bet made by the player left of the button. Now that represents the dealer. Before the cards are dealt, it forces the action on each hand. The blind also increases every 2 hours, and later in the play, there'll be 2 blind bets. The form of poker is hold'em, no limit table stakes. The usual poker hands win, such as 2 pair over a pair, a flush over a straight. Each player is dealt 2 cards face down, followed by a round of betting. Now that bet has to be as big as the blind, can be any amount, however. That's why we call it no limit. Next, 3 cards are dealt face up in the center of the table. Poker players call this the flop. And they are common cards. Each player can use these as part of his hand. There's a second round of betting after the flop. And if 2 or more players remain, a fourth and if necessary a fifth card is also dealt face up. Each of them common to all of the players and each followed by a round of betting. So a player can use any combination of 2 cards in his hand and the 5 on the board. A lot of strategy in the early going. Difficult to survive. It's a game of endurance, skill, and luck. A very unique game. Seated at table 6, Bobby Baldwin, last year's champion, and Hal Fowler, an amateur and long shot. Last year, there were women entered for the first time. There was 1. This year, there are 2. Known best for his prowess with a pool cue, Minnesota Fats knows his way around a poker table, too.
Well, amidst everything else that's going on here this week, they've started a new Poker Hall of Fame. Some of the greatest names in poker, and Minnesota Fats knows just about everybody in that Hall of Fame. Johnny Moss, of course, is in the tournament.
Johnny
and also
Moss,
in the Hall of
one of the greatest card players. I knew him all his life, too. We played together. And I know Johnny and his fantastic creature. And I'll tell you something about card players and gamblers. They're 100 to 1 over any other kind of people there is on earth. All you have to do with Johnny Moss or one of them is bet him $5,000 with your finger, and you'll get paid if you win.
Who was the best card player among these new members of the Hall of Fame?
Well, there's no way of talking about who is the best. Red Wynn was one of the best. Johnny Moss is rated like one of the best players. But at different intervals in life, they were the best. See, a lot of people don't understand that. Like right today, you know, you got certain people that are the best. Whoever wins this championship, I'm somebody that uses results. I don't want to hear no stories. You hear sad stories all the time. The guy that wins this tournament, he is the best.
We now turn to an interesting hand that developed early on the first day of play. Chicago's Sam Petrillo makes a $2,500 raise. 3 other players are in the hand. One of those 3, C.K. Schwartz, drops. To the immediate left of the dealer is Bobby the Wizard Hoff, and next to him, Jack Treetop Strauss, one of the other early favorites to take first place. Lakewood Louie doesn't want to see the raise and drops. Jim Bechtel, a farmer and an amateur from Arizona, decides to call Petrillo. Remember now, all this is being done with each player only having his first 2 down cards. A good example of the kind of the strong betting that can take place early in the hand. He not only decides to call Petrillo, but he's going to raise him as well. So the pressure now is on Chicago Sam. He is really under the gun. Keep in mind, those blacks are worth $100 apiece, and the gray chips are worth $500 apiece. Dealer is busy counting out that raise. The raise is $4,900. Bechtel now has $7,800 committed to this early pot, to Sam's $2,950. Now, Sam may be in a little bit too deep at this point. If he calls and loses, he could be out of the tournament. A pressure moment. Sam is no newcomer. He plays 11 to 12 hours, 5 or 6 nights a week, and he suspects that Bechtel has a heavy hand right now, and he does. 2 aces, Bechtel's down cards. Very strong, but in Hold'em, this can change quickly. Sam has the 2 kings as his down cards. Decision time for Chicago, Sam Petrillo in this live or die situation. He's made that decision. He's going to go all in. Maybe not a very good decision at this point because the odds are against him.
630 back.
Total pot now $17,660. Comes now the flop. Oh, look at Sam jump. He caught that 3rd king. Bechtel must now catch an ace in the 4th or the 5th cards or it's all over. They don't help him. And Sam Petrillo has beaten the odds and won the pot. And to the winner goes the spoils. And so instead of Petrillo being on the ropes, it is Bechtel who's in serious trouble. And as the first day draws to a close, he becomes one of the 20 players eliminated during the 9 hours of play. Jack Strauss had the dubious distinction this year of being the first out. We'll continue as the stakes get much higher and the competition more exciting.
You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up.
This is Frank Lieber as we pick up the action of the 1979 World Series of Poker late in the second day of play. At table number 1, we see last year's 2 finalists, Bobby Baldwin and Crandall Addington. And their money standings. They've been struggling a bit. Aubrey Day always makes a good showing. Sam Moon leading the pack at the present time. Bobby the Wizard Hoff and Chip Reese, a couple of the young Turks, hanging in also. One of the players who retired to the sidelines early is a man who takes his poker seriously. We're not used to this side of Gabe Kaplan.
When did you get serious about this game?
I'm still not serious about it. Couldn't you tell by the way I was playing that I'm not serious about it? You know, to have a guy here that gives odds on who's going to win the tournament. Before the tournament, I said, what are the odds on me? And he said, if someone bets $1 on me and I win, they'd have enough money to buy their own island in the South Pacific.
You've done this 2 years in a row now. You're going to keep coming back?
Well, I did better. Last year I was the 4th one out, and this year I was the 6th one out. So in another 50 years I'm going to win.
As we resume the action in the World Series of Poker, we're at table number 2, late on the second day. The ante for each player is now up to $200. There are 2 blind bets prior to the deal. One of $300 and one of $600. So a player must call at least $600 to stay in the hand. But of course, he can bet as much as he wants. George Huber is currently in second place, just behind Sam Moon at table number 1. 2 of the former 3 champions still in the tournament, Johnny Moss and Puggy Pearson. Our friend Chicago Sam Petrillo hanging on. But amateur Hal Fowler is in deep trouble, as is Sager Hunsucker. And Lakewood Louie, who stares at the board as we see the makings of a straight and a flush. Looks like an interesting hand. At this point in the betting, George Huber wagers $5,000. The tension among the players mounting as the antes increase and the game accelerates. Lakewood Louie, the only other player left in the hand, has $14,400 left in front of him. He decides to call Huber's bet. The 5th up card is a king of hearts, making a straight on the board, but with 3 diamonds, there's a potential flush also. George thinks it over for a moment, now asks Louie how much money he has left. It's $9,400. And George slides in a rack of black chips worth $10,000 to cover that. Louie is so confident of his hand, he throws in his last 12 cents. And why shouldn't he be? A royal flush, the first one ever in the history of the World Series of Poker. And George, he doesn't show his cards. Why bother against the best hand in the deck? Meanwhile, back at table number 1, the 2 bobbies, Baldwin and Hoff, are squared off with 4 cards on the board that don't show any great possibilities. The Queen of Diamonds, the 2 of Spades, the 9 of Clubs, and the 4 of Spades. Hoff has bet $15,600, and Baldwin is considering whether to go all in to call him. Hoff has put the pressure on Baldwin here, and Bobby feels like he might be in trouble. Bobby just might be considering the possibility of a tie in this hand. He makes the decision, and the pot now totals $65,000. The 5th card, a 4 of diamonds. Baldwin and Hoff tie, and they split the pot with identical hands. Ace-queen, ace-queen. What a relief.
The winner of the 1972 World Series of Poker has also bitten the dust with the 39 other players eliminated so far, but Amarillo Slim's enthusiasm hasn't dimmed.
Field has been trimming down a bit. At this point, would you like to venture a guess as to who might be in the top 2 or 3?
Yes, sir. I have a preference for George Huber. I think George is playing well. I know he's playing well. He's got a lot of ammunition.
He, of course, is one of the younger players. This younger, older player thing we've heard so much about the last couple of years. You go by that theory?
No, I don't believe that. You understand those cards can't tell whether it's an old man behind them or a young man behind them. I think that it's your playing ability. And some of these new guys, I don't want to call them young because I'm not sure whether I'm young or old. Hope that wasn't Huber. I don't pay attention to that. When it gets down to the last 10 guys every year, there's not 5% different in their playing ability.
We pick up play early on the 3rd day with the ante increased to $300 per player. We're down to 8 players at one table. The blinds are $800 and $1,600. Minimum calling bet then is $1,600. The black chip's worth $100 and the gray chip's $500. George Huber calls, as does Bobby Baldwin. Sam Moon, number 1 of the money standings, raises $6,000. Johnny Moss in 3rd place decides to fold. Huber calls as Sam Petrillo and Bobby Hoff look on. The spotlight turns on the defending champion, Bobby Baldwin, who considers his options and he decides to call. The pot now mounts to $27,100. As we see the money standings for Baldwin, Addington, and Fowler, who's bringing up the rear. It'll be Sam Moon's first action after the flop appears. 3 of diamonds, 8 of hearts, 6 of spades. Sam's down cards, 2 aces. Bobby has turned 3 8s in this pot. Moon bets $30,000.
$30,000.
Huber drops. Bobby Baldwin, he's already turned 3 8s, the best hand possible at this point. As a result, he's in a position where this is likely to be an automatic raise. But keep in mind once again that Baldwin is squarely on the spot. If he loses his hand, he's eliminated. If he wins, he'll be in the driver's seat and number 1 in the money standing. So Bobby calls the 30 and raises his remaining $15,000. Once again, Bobby Baldwin is going for broke. It is Moon's turn to call. He still has the 2 aces. Unknown to Sam, he has to catch one of the 2 remaining aces in the deck to win the hand. The 4th card coming up. The pot is now $116,500. He got it. The ace of diamonds. You wouldn't know it by looking at him, though. Now Baldwin needs the 4th 8 in the deck. An almost impossible task. It isn't there on the 5th card, and Bobby Baldwin, the defending champion, is eliminated. Moon winning the hand, 3 aces over 3 8s. Another former champion is eliminated, and 7 players remain. We'll return next week for the conclusion of the 10th Annual World Series of Poker. Till then, this is Frank Lieber. Now back to Dick Stock. Thank you very much, Dick, and we're back in downtown Las Vegas, Nevada for the exciting conclusion to the 1979 World Series of Poker. It started with 54 players, each putting up $10,000 to enter.
When the dealing's done.
Welcome to the 10th Annual World Series of Poker from Binion's Horseshoe in Las Vegas, Nevada. Hi, everybody. I'm Frank Lieber, along with Jimmy the Greek, and over $500,000 at stake here.
This is the highest in the history, and I'm sure it's going to be a real rough one.
I tell you, they get bigger every year. If we are down to the final 5 players, like anybody in particular?
Well, yeah, Mr. Moon at the moment has to be the favorite because he has over $200,000. But the upset of the table here is that gentleman in the corner there, Mr. Fowler. I mean, he's from California, and he's not one of the usual players.
Well, it's getting exciting, and let's get down to the action right now. Here's the 5 remaining players and their money standings. Bobby Hoff in first, $225,700. In second place, Sam Moon. In the number 3 position, Hal Fowler. In 4th place, George Huber. And in 5th place, the veteran Johnny Moss. When this championship is over and one player has all the chips, the prize money of $540,000 will be awarded to the 5 finalists. The button designates the dealer position. It rotates around the table after each hand. There are 2 blind bets, $1,500 and $3,000 made before the cards are dealt. The form of poker played in this championship is no limit hold'em. It originated in Texas. Each player antes, and now it's $400. 2 cards are dealt face down to each player, and there's a round of betting. Then 3 cards are dealt face up in the center. That's called the flop, and there's another round of betting. These cards are common and are used by each player to complete his hand of 5 cards. A 4th and a 5th up card, common cards, may also be dealt, each followed by a round of betting. Each player started the tournament with $10,000. When they lose what they have, they can't buy more. But now, each of these 5 finalists will win something. To most, the title and their picture in the gallery of champions is more important than the money. 28-year-old Bobby Baldwin, the 1978 champion, is acknowledged by his peers to be one of the best poker players in the world. How has this changed over the last couple of years? The players getting a lot better, do you think, more skillful?
Players are getting a lot better, especially in the amateur field. The amateurs play 1,000% better than they did 3 or 4 years ago when I first started coming out here in 1977. I think part of it is being around players that play better than you do.
Even the older players, I guess, are now capitalizing on some of the scientific things that some of you younger guys are brought in.
That's right, they are. It's improved their play along as they in turn improve our play. They have more experience. They know more about people. So we learn from them and they learn from us.
Bobby now joins us to give us an inside look at the play as we get down close to the wire. And as we join this hand, each player has been dealt his 2 down cards. Sam Moon on the left, up at the top of your screen, is the $1,500 blind. Johnny Moss, next to him, has the $3,000 blind. All 5 players here, each anteed $400. Bobby, what's happening now?
Well, the blind's $3,000. Bobby Hoff's called it and raised $6,500 more. Mr. Fowler's folded, and so is Sam Moon. Now Johnny Moss has decided to call the $6,500 raise and is going to re-raise the pot himself all in.
Bobby's got something, and there it is, an ace and a 10.
He sure does. He's got a good hand. Johnny's got ace queen. He's got Bobby in bad shape. Bobby can't win with an ace. He must catch a 10.
Moss, of course, an amazing personality, 73 years old, from Odessa, Texas, the dean of Lone Star State players.
He's a great player. He's playing as good now as he did 30 years ago.
Started playing at the age of 12, if you can believe that. Bobby Hoff, they call the Wizard.
Let you win this pot, you sure have a lot of checks.
Yeah, you sure will.
Like there's a little bluffing going on here?
Well, Bobby's pretty well committed himself. He feels like Johnny's got the best hand, but he's that far in the pot that he's going to go ahead and call the re-raise of $16,700.
This pot now is $55,000. Moss needs it or he is gone.
Right. This is a crucial pot for Moss. He must win or he will be eliminated from the tournament. As you can see, Bobby's got a couple $100,000 left even if he loses the pot. So Bobby's got the worst hand, but Johnny must win to stay in.
Time now for the flop, and let's see what happens. Here it is. 7 of diamonds, 2 of hearts, 6 of hearts.
This hasn't helped either player, so Johnny still got the best hand with the ace-queen for high.
4th card is a 2 of diamonds.
No help for either player. Bobby must catch a 10, and he does catch a 10.
Bobby Huff coming up with that 10. And there it is. The winning hand, 10s and deuces.
You got to know when to hold 'em.
Johnny Moss, the only 3-time winner of the World Series of Poker, takes 5th place money of $27,000. We're down to 4 now, and the stakes go up when we return with more of the 1979 World Series of Poker. We're going to have a new face in the Gallery of Champions this year. There's a total of $540,000 in chips on the table, and these 4 gentlemen, like everybody else in this tournament, started with $10,000. The man on my left, Bobby Hoff, now has almost $330,000. That puts you kind of in the driver's seat, right? It's a little tough right now, you were saying, though.
Well, it's a lot of pressure.
How do you play having all these chips? I mean, you play conservative now?
No, the conservative plays the first couple of days. That's when you play conservative. Conservative play is over with.
The gentleman on your left has to be the dark horse, kind of the mystery man of this tournament, Hal Fowler. But everybody's marveled at how relaxed you play. You make your decisions almost immediately.
Well, I've been playing for 42 years, and I played poker a long time. Played Hold'em for 8 years. I make my decisions right away.
You certainly do. Let's talk to the 2 gentlemen on my right now who are playing catch-up at the present time. George Huber's probably had more experience than any of these players. George, you're down to what, 40,000 or so?
About 41,000.
Does this experience come in handy at this point, or are you strictly a long shot in your mind?
I feel like I'm experienced enough.
Sam, you started the day as the leader, but that stack of chips has steadily dwindled. You just can't seem to get a hand.
That's correct. I haven't held anything since we come back.
Sam Moon's bad luck continued, so he retired from the arena with 4th place money of $54,000. As Bobby Baldwin and I look on with you, we find George Huber's experience has not sustained him very well, and he is down to his last $4,000. So he is all in before the deal. The ante here is $500. The blinds are $2,000 and $4,000. You can sympathize, Bobby, with the young Mr. Huber, having been in the same position before.
I sure can. As the game progresses, the antes accelerates and the blinds accelerates, and if you don't make a hand in a hurry, you're out of money fast.
What's Bobby doing there?
Bobby's raising the pot. He'll have a side pot between him and Mr. Fowler. George can only win a total of $10,500.
Anytime you're in that top 5, though, you got to feel in pretty good shape. Your week is made, so to speak.
Certainly. If George does lose this pot, he will be eliminated, but 3rd place pays a handsome $81,000, and that's a lot of money to win in a 3-day tournament.
Do you like the current format better than the winner-take-all?
I sure do. I think the idea that somebody must win all the chips to determine the winner is good, but $540,000 to 1st place and 53 people going broke doesn't work out well. I think paying 5 places makes the tournament better.
Here's the flop. 6 of diamonds, queen of clubs, 8 of spades.
You all in, George?
Think he's kidding?
Well, he's probably making what we call a verbal bluff. He doesn't have any money left to bluff, so he just says he's got 2 pairs. Hal's betting here on the side with Bobby, and Bobby folds, so Hal will win the side pot regardless of what happens between he and George.
2 of diamonds. What does that do?
Well, it's pretty flat board. There's not too many things possible. Well, Hal has a king and a queen and wins the pot with 2 queens.
When card players talk about how to hold them and how to fold them, they're talking shop. A fellow by the name of Kenny Rogers has other ideas. Your song, The Gambler, which may become a standard, I guess, for poker players. How did it come about?
Well, I actually found it in a stack of songs. I always look for songs that have a little hook to it or something that people can relate to and identify with. And the great, when you can find a song that while its statement is literal, still can be used in general, like, you know, because that's a very, the statement itself, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, doesn't necessarily just have to apply to, you know, to gambling. And people have attached themselves to that statement all around. But it's so funny because every time I go places now, people will say to me, you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And I keep thinking about how many times I've sat down at these tables and didn't know when to hold them or when to fold them.
And then there were two, 1:05 a.m., and a major upset in the making. The 40-1 outsider, amateur Hal Fowler, with $204,000 at the present time, against the professional Bobby the Wizard Hoff, with $336,000. As we pick up the action with 4 cards on the board and not much showing, a couple of diamonds, possible straight in the work. We're no longer using an ante, just 2 blinds that are presently $5,000 and $10,000. After the flop, Bobby Hoff has bet $25,000, and Hal has called him. What do you think's on Hoff's mind right now, Bobby Baldwin?
Well, he's making a play at the pot, certainly. He's been the aggressor from the very beginning of this hand. On the 4th card, Hal checked, and Bobby's bet him $30,000 now. It looks like Hal Fowler's getting ready to call it.
Like he's about to move in some of the heavy artillery here.
That's right. There's still 1 card to come. We really don't know what either player has, but certainly he is going to call the $30,000.
Those gray chips, each worth $500. All the black $100 chips have been eliminated from the game. Each of the racks of gray chips worth $50,000. Everybody holding their breath right now, waiting for that 5th card to turn up.
$110,000 already in this pot.
Queen of diamonds.
3 diamonds on the board now. There could be a flush possible.
Hal Fowler completely expressionless. Wears the dark glasses. Bobby Hoff, of course, with the cap, and here comes a lot of money.
Well, Bobby Hoff's been the aggressor from the beginning in this hand, but now Hal's taken the initiative and moved all his remaining money in the pot, $144,000 in all.
Big decision now for Hoff. Hal Fowler, 52 years of age, Los Angeles public relations man. Bobby Hoff, professional poker player from Victoria, Texas, battling it out for the World Championship. This could be a turning point, Bobby.
It sure could. Bobby knows if he calls it and wins the pot, the tournament will be over. He'll be the winner. On the other hand, if he calls and loses the pot, Hal will have most of the money in the tournament.
Hal Fowler awaiting the decision of Bobby Hoff. If Hoff decides to call him, this will be the biggest pot in the history of the World Series of Poker, and he is doing just that, much to the delight of the gallery. A $398,000 pot. And Fowler's ace-high flush beats Hoff's king-high flush. This hand turns Hal Fowler around, and now he has the lead.
$98,000 pot. Ace-high flush to a king-high flush.
We'll be back with the conclusion of the 1979 World Series of Poker.
You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold.
Frank Lieber along with Bobby Baldwin as we get down to the wire now. The 10th annual World Series of Poker. The blind bets have increased to $16,000 and $8,000. Bobby Hoff has built himself up to $232,000. Hal Fowler still leading with $308,000. Each player has been dealt his 2 down cards. Hoff decides to bet $50,000.
Each pot's a key pot at this stage of the game. If you can put 1 or 2 pots together in a row, the tournament will be over.
Do you think about those chips as money when you're putting them out there?
When you're actually at the table, the chips are just tools to work with. You have to have chips to win the tournament, naturally, but they're just tools. You don't think about money until you actually cash them in.
The irony of this matchup is the first day of last year's tournament, Hoff knocked Fowler out. And also, ironically, at one time, both of these men were at the bottom of the list in this year's tournament. Hoff was 34th at the end of the first day with only $1,730, and Fowler was down to $1,700 on the 3rd day.
Historically, every winner in this event has come from far behind.
Pretty good sized pot there. $132,000.
And they haven't even turned the flop yet.
And here it comes. Pair of jacks.
Now, Bobby did the betting coming into this hand, but it's Hal's first turn to act. We'll see what he does.
Do you feel confident at this point?
Well, I don't know. Hal knows if he makes a mistake here, the tournament's over, and Bobby knows the same thing. Bobby quickly folds. Hal looked like he was getting ready to bet all his money.
It's a bluff.
It is a bluff. Hal had the 10-9 of spades. No pair, no draw.
Fowler increases his lead over Hoff to $208,000. This is getting to be an endurance test.
Well, the two of them have been playing head-to-head for almost 5 hours now.
Short time later, we pick up a hand on the flop. Each player has $38,000 in the middle.
Well, Bobby did the raising coming into this hand before the flop. Hal was just calling. Looks like Bobby's getting ready to bet him again.
$40,000 this time. Bobby Hoff, Texan, one time a scratch golfer, and attended the University of Texas in a golf scholarship. Self-made poker player and one of the best.
That's right. You see Hal checking his hand here, $40,000.
Each of those gray chips worth $500. Fowler calls him. That will make the pot total so far $156,000.
Well, this pot's large enough to swing the tournament either direction.
We await the fourth card.
Hal's looking directly at Bobby, keeping his sober expression as always.
Four of spades.
Well, the four make straight possibilities. Bobby's thinking, studying, shuffling his chips, a nervous habit that a lot of professionals have.
He does that a lot, doesn't he? No matter how much money is on the table.
That's right. He's thinking now he's got to act first.
Going to go all in. $43,000 worth. But what can he do at this point?
He has no choice. He's got to make a stand here. He's got to win this pot.
Fowler will call him. Pot now will amount to $242,000.
More you want? 3,000. 6 chips.
Another half a dozen chips. The fifth and final card on this big pot.
Well, Bobby displays two aces. The 10 of diamonds didn't help him. Hal's got a 6 and a 7. He made a straight. He not only wins the pot, but the championship.
Hal Fowler, the amateur from Los Angeles and the winner of the 1979 World Series of Poker. Bobby Hoff takes second place money of $108,000. Hal Fowler, first place money, $270,000. And that wraps it up for the 10th annual World Series of Poker. From Binion's Horseshoe in downtown Las Vegas. For Bobby Baldwin, this is Frank Lieber. Now back to Dick Stockton.